I'm Shannon Thrasher, and this is 30 Second Tactics. Today I'm going to talk about what I call training scars. And I say I call it, I didn't invent that term. I don't know who did, but credit to them. Talk about what I mean when I say training scars, how we get them, and how we can avoid them. And basically, a training scar is anything you do either in training or in the real world where you're either consciously or subconsciously teaching yourself a bad habit. A perfect example of that, if you go all the way back to the 70s, to the Newhall incident, some of you are probably familiar with. If you're not, look it up. Newhall, CHP, Google will get it to you. There's been some controversy over the years whether or not this part of the story I'm about to tell is actually true or if it was just urban legend. But the cops get in a shootout. They unfortunately are killed. Afterwards, they find out, and this is when people carried revolvers, that the CHP officers had dumped their empty brass in their hand and then stuck it in their pocket before reloading, wasting a few precious seconds in the middle of a gunfight, because that was the way they were trained on the range to do it, because the range master back then didn't want to waste time picking up brass. Now again, I've heard several stories, both sides of that, whether it's true or not, but assuming it was true, that would be a perfect example of a training scar. Now, like I said, you can either have them in training or you can have them in the real world. And some common ones that I see, like on the range in training, is, your gun malfunctions. And what's your first reaction? Is to raise your hand or get the attention of the range master or basically stop the fight, stop the qualification, stop the shooting. Obviously, that's not what you want to do in a shootout. So let's not train that way. Let's train like we fight. So if you're on the range, even if you're just plinking around or doing a qualification, not a combat course or anything, and you have a malfunction or something as simple as your gun runs dry, stay in the mode there. Stay in the fight, as they say. Get that gun back in action. Don't be waving your hand around, because I assure you, as much as I would like to, if I was your range officer, come over there and help you clear that weapon, I'm not going to do that in the middle of a gunfight. So that's one way, one training scar I see, and one way to fix it. Another thing, when I say like in the field or in for real, in the real world, is unfortunately, it's fortunate because of the outcome, but unfortunately because of the side effect, is every time we stop a car and we walk up to the car, no matter how safe we're being, no matter what tactics we're using, and it turns out to be a quote-unquote routine traffic stop, and the lady gives us her information and we write her a citation or issue her a verbal warning and send her on her way, and nothing violent happened, we are subconsciously creating a training scar that traffic stops are safe. Every time we go to an alarm call and search a building or search a house, and we do it properly and safely and with proper tactics and enough backup, and we search the whole building and we don't find a criminal, we don't find a burglar, we don't find someone waiting to ambush us, we are subconsciously creating a training scar that bad guys don't hide in buildings. So every time you do something like that, you have to consciously stop and think to yourself and train it right, that just because I did a good job this time and I didn't find anybody doesn't mean next time I'm going to do a good job, I'm not going to find anybody. You have to keep doing a good job, and you have to always expect to find somebody. Some of you might remember the +1 rule when you were learning to search people. If you find a knife, +1, assume you're going to find another knife. If you find a gun, keep searching, assume you're going to find another gun. If you don't find a bad guy, keep searching, always assume you're going to find a bad guy. So guys, that's pretty much training scars in a nutshell. Just think about, next time you're on the range and you go to reload and you drop that magazine, don't get flustered, don't throw your hands in the air. If you have another magazine on your belt, grab it and rock on with that reload. If not, and it's, safe to do it on that particular range, kneel down and grab that magazine real quick and get back in the fight. Don't train to fail. Don't create those training scars, guys. All right, so that's all I have for you today. As always, work, train, repeat.